Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Saturday, the 21st of August. We continue with Robert Murray McShane's readings and read 1 Samuel chapter 13, the beginning of Saul's kingship, a beginning which doesn't go well. The Philistines gather together to launch an attack on Israel. Saul issues a summons and all of Israel comes to join him, and all the Israelites are together ready to go out to battle. But Saul's waiting for Samuel to come. Reading from verse 7. Saul remained at Gilgal, and all the troops with him were quaking with fear. He waited 7 days, the time set by Samuel, but Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and Saul's men began to scatter. So he said, "Bring me the burnt offerings and the fellowship offerings." And Saul offered up the burnt offering. Just as he finished making the offering, Samuel arrived, and Saul went out to greet him. "What have you done?" asked Samuel. And in doing what he did, Saul undermined his kingship. Samuel says to him in verse 13, "You have done a foolish thing." Samuel said, "You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you." What Saul had done is he applied his logic. He looked at the situation, seen what is going on, worked out what his options were, made a call that he thought was a good one, the best one that he could make, and acted on it. But it appears that in all of his thinking, God didn't feature. And so Samuel says to him, "You've blown it. God's commands come first, and any decision we make is under that." And as Christians, we need to remember that as well, that sometimes we are called to do things which aren't necessarily logical, which don't make complete sense, which if we just apply our common logic to it, doesn't work out. And so when God says, "Love your enemies," that doesn't often make sense. The last thing you want to do, and there's a lot of very good reasons why you want to rather undermine your enemies and shortchange your enemies and overcome your enemies. And God says, "Love them." We look at the cross and something that was a complete disaster from a human point of view. That was the Messiah. That was the end of him. He's crucified, executed. He's gone, all over. And yet that very act was the greatest victory over sin that there could have been. And so as Christians, we need to remember that, yes, we do need to act sensibly and logically and consistently, but that is always under God's command. God's command and God's instructions always come first. And so as you go through life, remember that. Sometimes it'll be easy and sometimes it won't, but we still need to do it so that we don't have the same thing happen to us as happened to Saul, where we do what we think's a good idea and in actual fact we blow it completely. So be challenged to walk with God in his paths, in his way, day by day.